On the volcanic world of Tyrakos, survival was more than a necessity, it was a religion. The planet was a relentless crucible of fire and stone, its skies choked with ash, its seas boiling with acid. Life here didn't just endure, it thrived by becoming the most formidable it could be. Among this harsh backdrop, the Tyrakans had risen as the undisputed masters. They were a reptilian species, towering over most other sentients, their exoskeletons hard as obsidian, and their triple hearts pumping a toxic, mercury-like blood that even their predators dared not taste. From the moment of hatching, every Tyrakan was thrust into the jaws of danger. Younglings faced their first trials by crossing acidic rivers or navigating fields of razor-sharp volcanic glass. Those who failed were not mourned, they were simply deemed unfit to carry forward the legacy of Tyrakos. Their society revered strength, adaptability, and above all, the ability to dominate. For eons, this mindset had shaped not only their survival but their expansion into the stars. The Tyrakans were not explorers out of curiosity. They ventured into the galaxy to measure it against themselves. So far, the results had been disappointing. Among the softworlders, species that came from planets of mild weather, fertile lands, and docile ecosystems, none had been worth considering as equals. They were fragile, their civilizations reliant on comforts unimaginable to Tyrakans. Such weakness was not just foreign to them. It was contemptible. Their dominance in the galaxy was absolute, or so they believed. No species had posed a challenge, and with each encounter, their sense of superiority grew. But deep within the Tyrakan psyche lurked a peculiar unease, a question they rarely admitted to themselves. If they had risen from one of the most hostile worlds imaginable, was it possible that somewhere, out there, another death world existed? This unspoken fear found an answer when the signal came. It was faint but unmistakable, an artificial transmission from a remote star system at the edge of their charts. The initial scans revealed something astonishing. The planet, labeled by its inhabitants as Earth, defied every expectation. Its surface was marked by extremes, deserts that burned, poles that froze, jungles that teemed with deadly life forms, and oceans that churned with violent tempests. The levels of radiation, gravity, and atmospheric variability were unlike anything the Tyrakans had seen outside their own homeworld. Intrigued, the Tyrakans prepared a reconnaissance mission. Their initial hypothesis was simple: no sentient life could thrive on such a chaotic world. Perhaps the signal was an artifact of a lost civilization, wiped out by the very planet it had dared to inhabit. As their sleek, obsidian-hulled ship broke through Earth's atmosphere, they scanned its surface with a mixture of awe and condescension. The lush forests, the sprawling cities, and the vast, blue oceans seemed incongruous with the violence etched into the planet's very fabric. This was a death world, no doubt about it. But the question that hung unspoken among the Tyrakan crew was clear. Who, or what, had survived here long enough to send that signal? The misunderstanding began almost immediately. The Tyrakans, having observed humans for only a short time, interpreted certain actions as threats. A demonstration of advanced human technology, an orbital rocket launch, was mistaken for a display of military power. To the Tyrakans, such an act was a clear message. Humans were challenging their presence. The decision was swift. Tyrakan pride demanded a response. Their attack was calculated, designed to subdue rather than annihilate. Strikes were aimed at key infrastructure, communication hubs, power grids, and transportation networks. The Tyrakans expected chaos to follow. On most worlds, such precision strikes would cripple any resistance and send the inhabitants into disarray. Yet, to their astonishment, the humans adapted almost immediately. The first countermeasure came within hours. Tyrakan troops, deployed to secure their targets, found themselves in an urban labyrinth, confronted by humans who used the environment to their advantage. They weren't organized in the way the Tyrakans anticipated. Instead of large-scale armies, small groups moved with incredible coordination, striking quickly before vanishing into the shadows. They used unconventional tactics that confused and frustrated the Tyrakans. The humans' ingenuity was undeniable. They repurposed civilian technologies into makeshift weapons, turned their damaged infrastructure into traps, and relied on a deep knowledge of their terrain. Tyrakan soldiers found themselves outmaneuvered in ways they hadn't thought possible. A power grid they had destroyed was reconnected in hours. A bridge they had demolished became an impassable choke point for their own forces. The turning point came during a nighttime engagement. Tyrakan forces had cornered a group of human fighters in what appeared to be an abandoned factory. The humans, outnumbered and outgunned, seemed to have no chance. Yet, when the Tyrakans moved in, they discovered the area had been rigged with traps. The humans had anticipated every move, using the factory's layout to funnel their attackers into dead ends and ambush points. By the time the skirmish ended, the Tyrakans had lost more than half their squad. It was an outcome they had never experienced. Defeat for a Tyrakan was almost unthinkable. And yet, these fragile beings had managed to turn their weaknesses into strengths. Amidst the conflict, a ceasefire was called, initiated by the humans. The two sides met under tense conditions. The Tyrakans expected demands for surrender or reparations, yet what they encountered instead was something entirely alien to their way of thinking: negotiation. The human leader, a woman with a calm but firm demeanor, spoke not of victory or dominance, but of understanding. She explained how humanity had learned to survive on Earth not by fighting every battle, but by choosing which battles were worth fighting. Survival, she said, was not about crushing opposition, but about adapting to the challenges life presented. For the Tyrakans, this philosophy was as foreign as the humans themselves. Yet, as they listened, they couldn't deny its merit. Humanity had proven itself a worthy opponent, not through sheer power, but through resilience, creativity, and an unyielding will to survive. For the first time, the Tyrakans began to see them as more than just another species. They saw equals.